Hello and welcome to the hidden world of microorganisms. Today we are going to talk about biodiversity. You might have heard this term already in the news, unfortunately in a quite negative way because of the numbers of species lost that we are observing today. But I want to take a step back and talk about what it is and why it is important. The term biodiversity has been created in the 1980s by Dr. Thomas Lovejoy, a biologist and conservationist. It refers to the variety of life or the number of species, from the smallest microorganisms to the giant sequoia, from yeast to mosses, and even human beings. People have been aware of some species becoming rare and sometimes even disappearing. A very famous example is the one of the dodo, a big bird from the Mauritius island that has been hunted to extinction in the 17th century. When we observe a species becoming rare, in danger of extinction, conservationists put in place projects to protect them or reintroduce them and bring them back to a healthy population, meaning that there are enough individuals to be able to reproduce and maintain the species. But unfortunately, that happens more often with species that are considered beautiful, attractive, like orchids or panda. And luckily, some of those projects are very successful, like, for example, the red kite in Britain. But over the years, we have come to realize that all the species are interconnected, so more often than not, to just protect the one species will not ensure its survival in the long term. Although it is always a good news to know that the numbers of a rare species are increasing, what about the species that we don't see? Scientists estimate the number of species on Earth to be around 8.7 millions, and that's without accounting for microorganisms. Microorganisms seem to be counted in the billions, some even say in the trillions. But so what? Why is something so small important? Well, we know now that we are all connected and part of an ecosystem, and we are linked by something called ecosystem functioning. Let's take an example. All of the organisms, us included, to live, we need to eat. So we eat other animals, animals eat animals, animals eat plants, animals eat microorganisms, etc. Plants absorb nutrients from the soil. Where do they come from? Nutrients in the soil, and the water for that matter, used to be part of animals and plants, other organisms. It's a bit like when you make a compost with the scraps from your kitchen and you throw away pieces of apples or whatever, and after a while you get a kind of dirt, a kind of earth that is so nutrient that it is used to fertilize other plants. What happened in between the process of transformation from the dead material to the dirt that is high in nutrients, it's called decomposition. Decomposition is carried out by a whole community of organisms. It usually starts with small animals like earthworms or insects that break down the dead organism. It then becomes accessible to microorganisms, including fungi and bacteria, and those organisms will feed on those detritus, and once they die, the nutrients become available for plants to be reintroduced in the system. It is a closed circular system where everything that is used was part of the system already. Everything that is used was already there in another form. If we take out one species or a group of species from the system, the whole system might crash. You can see at this point that the reintroduction and protection of a rare species in an ecosystem might by far not be enough to save it, because we need the whole ecosystem to be healthy and functioning. If one or a few species, small or big, whatever they are, become extinct, nothing might change in an ecosystem because their functioning, their role might be played by another species. But we don't know which species will be the tipping point for the system to crash, which is why it is absolutely necessary to protect the whole of the biodiversity to be sure that there is always one there to keep going. Decomposition is just one of the examples where microorganisms play an absolutely necessary role, but we will talk more about their importance in another episode. At the start in the 80s, biodiversity importance was considered to be in the numbers of species present in an ecosystem, but now we know that the diversity of ecosystems is important in itself, and another kind of diversity is genetic diversity. Because no matter how many we are, if we are all the same, eventually we will get extinct. Here is an example to explain this to you. All of the food that we eat has been selected to be better generation after generation. Sometimes for thousands of years, agriculture has selected the best seeds and the best animals to reproduce and produce our crops, our dairy and our meat. The risk in doing that is that those animals and plants stop evolving naturally and therefore lose their genetic diversity. But you know who doesn't stop evolving? Parasites. It's what happened in the 1950s with banana culture. Almost all banana cultivations over the world were using the same variety of banana plants. So when a fungus came that caused them disease, it quickly spread all around the world, almost wiping out the entire cultivation. So farmers switched to another variety of plants that was genetically slightly different and resisted to the fungus, conquering the disease. Unfortunately, the pathogen has evolved again and has infected banana cultivations from all over the world, from Southern Asia to Africa and South America. It is an ongoing battle to control the disease and find a new variety resistant to the fungus. Our banana plant cannot evolve naturally because the seeds they produce are not capable of creating a new plant. And without reproduction, there is no genetic diversity. Let's hope that agricultural researchers find a way to save bananas, but the message here is clear. Diversity in all of its forms is essential to the world and its protection, the only way for us all to exist. This is it for today. I hope you enjoyed discovering about biodiversity and its importance, and that you will continue accompanying me in this journey of discovery and amazement. Bye now!